Guys, the amount of messages that I've been getting every single day from you setters asking me, Yunus, how do your students find a job? Yunus, how are you able to do this? Yunus, how can we get a job in the next 30 days? Is freaking incredible. And I thought, what better way to end my day than making a YouTube video giving you my 3 steps that would help you land a role in the next 30 days if you implement it the right way. And it's raining like crazy, so in case if my lights cuts out, just know that it's the rain. Anyways, so how can you land your next setting role in 30 days? Now we're going to break this down into 3 different steps. Step number 1 is mindset. Step number 2 is our 3-step strategy. And step number 3 is showtime. Now, we won't spend a lot of time over mindset, but I do want to give it its importance because a lot of you setters are just lacking immensely when it comes to mental endurance. Now, mindset. Number 1, stop treating job search as a hobby. Now, I know this sounds obvious. Like, of course, you don't, like, it's almost obvious. Like, you shouldn't treat it like a hobby, but the amount of setters and the amount of people that would pick up their phone every single day in hopes of getting an offer, and they would open it up, bada bada boom, search Facebook groups, maybe apply to 1-2 offers, spend like 30 minutes, and then be like, yeah, I applied to enough offer for the day and I should move on. That is not how you find a job. You should treat it and give it the respect that it demands and set aside a couple of hours every single day and make sure that you track your interviews, your job application, your Loom videos, your connections through trackers such as Trello. Again, don't treat it like a hobby. Make sure you give it the importance that it demands. Mindset 2 is understand that things take time. It's like some of our students are able to find a job in a couple of days. Some of our students are able to find a job in a couple of weeks. Some of our students take a couple of months, like 2 to 3 months, to find a job that fits with them. Again, things can take time, but you can minimize that time by focusing on the 20% of the things that bring you the 80% of the results. What I mean by that is the 20% for you is just applying to offers, and everything else that I would give to you in this session. Again, apply, 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 apply. That should be your entire focus. Continuous improvement. Again, this is also a massive one, which is record your interviews through Fathom and look into your Loom videos. If you apply to an offer and you get an interview, let's say on average you apply to like 10 offers, 7 of them give you an interview. That means your Loom is good, your application process is good, you have like a 70% approval rate. But then out of those 7 interviews, none of them hire you. That means your interview is an issue, and that is something you need to work on. So make sure you record those interviews through Fathom and look back at it and be like, what could I have improved to ensure that I could have gotten this offer? Now, the 3 strategies to find a job. Strategy number 1 to find a job as a setter is the dead treasure. Now, I would explain this to you in the simplest terms possible. Now, what you do is you go to Facebook and you open a group like Nothing Held Back Job Board, and then if you look here, there's a tiny search button. I want you to click on that search button, and I want you to search things such as DM setting, phone setting, closeout, whatever you want to do. And then the next thing that you would see is all of these offers that needed a setter at some point. For example, 11 Jan, 19 Jan, 16th Feb. And then there is an option where you can basically choose the date. And what the reason I call it the dead treasure, I'm getting to it, is you would choose previous dates. For example, 2025, 2024, 2023, and so on. And you would see shit ton of offers that are looking for DM setters or phone setters or whatever you search. Now, the reason I call it the dead treasure is because a lot of you setters would focus on finding new offers. So you would open groups, you would try to look at the latest post, and you would apply to the new offers. And what this allows you to do is understanding that if these business owners needed a setter at some point, maybe let's say in 2025, the likelihood of them needing another setter as of right now or needing one soon is extremely high because they hired a setter. And that is the reason I call this a dead treasure, is because a lot of these people are still in the market looking for DM setters or would need one soon. And if you do like 50 outbounds a day to these business owners, and let's say you get like 5 responses, that's 20 responses a month. A month and almost 200 responses a year. Now, these 200 people are direct managers, recruiters, business owners that needed a setter. Imagine having a pipeline of 200 business owners that responded back to you at some point saying like, hey, we would need a setter soon, and you could always reach out to them and get an offer. And that is how you create sustainability and predictability in your career as a setter. And make sure that you track all of these through a tracker like Trello. Again, pretty simple stuff. Is you find a group like this, you search up DM setter, you see all the job offer, you select a date, you look at the offers. Now what you do next is you would open up the profile of this person, you would engage with one or two of their posts, you would add them as a friend, and then you would send them a simple text. Now Yunus, what should the text say? Super simple. Hey name, saw your post in X, Y, and Z group. Notice that you were looking for a DM setter a while ago. I know the position has probably filled out, but I thought I'll reach out just in case. Hope you're having a good day. Super simple, super clean, would get you tons of responses, and you could build up on that pipeline and make sure you get an offer. And if you do this consistently for 2 to 3 weeks, oh, it's raining like crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear that. If you guys do this for 2 to 3 weeks consistently, reaching out to these people, you would be able to get at least 7 to 10 interviews. And if you continuously improve and make sure that you do a better job, you would be able to land a role. Again, it's not science. My students have been able to land roles within weeks or days, and this is all we do. Now, the next step, the next strategy that I have is doing cold outbounds on IG. Yes, it is cold. Now, a lot of setters think that cold outbounds don't work, and I agree with those. Cold outbounds won't work for you if you're a beginner or if you don't have a really good brand, because nobody's going to respond back to you because you look like a fucking loser. But there is a way that you can make these cold outbounds work, and that is through getting in touch with recruiters. So step 1 is super simple. Go to your Instagram and search up recruiters, and you would find someone like this guy, Ruben, the recruiter. Open up their profile. Okay, he's a high ticket setter and closer recruiter. I would follow him up. I would reach out to him, connect with him, and apply in his pipeline. The next thing that I would do is go into his following, and I would see more recruiters. And guess what I would do? I would reach out to them and I would get in their pipeline. Now, majority of these recruiters charge business owners and not you, so you wouldn't have to pay a single penny. And the reason this is effective than the normal cold DMs is super simple. Now, let's say you connect with a recruiter. Right? One recruiter. And let's say on average, they have 10 offers in their pipeline. So for every one DM that get accepted, and they have like lower followers, by the way, so they would typically respond back to you. But let's say that you get out of you do like a cold DM, one of them responds back to you. Rather than getting one offer as you would do from a cold DM to a coach, you get access to 10 different offers that you can apply to. Which means if you have 10 recruiters in your pipeline, that would give you access to how many offers? 100 offers. Isn't that super cool? This is what we call being smart kids. Again, it's super simple. It's not science, but this combined with this, right? So it's not like, Yunus, can I get to choose one strategy that I focus on, which is either the dead treasure or the cold outbounds? No, do both of them together, and then also do the third one that I'm getting to, which is networking and branding. Now, one thing that I've noticed in this space is a lot of you guys are branding, a lot of you guys are networking, and if you have come to the space through a program or a course or a mentor, then you already know the importance of networking, which is it's not about what you know, it's about who you know in the space. But 99% of you setters are stuck and you guys are getting no results, while the top 1% are getting all the offers. So what is the difference between you and them? I'll give you an idea about the networking because I have a separate session on branding that you can watch. Now, the reason some setters get better results with networking is number one, they are super selective with who they network with. They don't just network with every single setter. They don't network with setters that have just come into the space. Rather, they connect with setters that have done like 500K or more. So they're super selective with the people they engage with. The second thing is there is no desperation. So it's not like they go back and forth for 4 messages and then the setter says, oh, by the way, do you have an offer? I mean, look, that's too transactional. They nurture. the relation. So there's no desperation. So they nurture the relation for weeks before making an ask, which is asking about the offer. And oftentimes you wouldn't even need to make an ask if you're doing a good job with your branding. So if you basically are nurturing people and you are having conversations with them and networking with them, being selective with it and not being desperate, and also doing a great job with your branding, talking about your skill set, expertise, and everything else, then these people would reach out to you directly saying, hey, bro, I know it's been a while since we connected, but I have an offer and I was wondering if you have anyone that you could suggest. And you could be like, oh, actually, I'm in search of an offer, right? So again, they're extremely selective with the people they connect with. They are not desperate. They nurture that actual relation. And the whole strategy is give, give, give before you make an ask. So if they need an offer, you send them a couple of grubs. If they need an offer, you send them a couple of applications that you see on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else to try to maximize the use of it. Again, this is super simple, guys. Again, with networking, it's not that difficult. If you want, I can make an entirely different video on how do you go about networking, but I hope this gives you an idea. Now, let's go to the branding. Again, we have an entire video on that you can watch, but this is step 3, which is showtime, which is you improved a lot. You have a strategy, you're following that strategy, you get shit ton of offers, you jump on interviews, you get an offer. What's next? What's next is this. Hit 7K a month in the next 90 days as a DM setter the easy way. Even if you're a phone setter, you should watch this video. I give you 3 actionable steps that you can work on from the get-go. The moment you join an offer, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or like an experienced setter, that you could follow and do for yourself to make sure that you crush the offer and you outdo their KPIs and make a lot more money. And this is the branding guide, by the way. How do you brand yourself? Because as I said, networking and branding are the 2 things that would help you get a lot of job offers as a setter. And I explained the branding part, but networking part. But how do you brand yourself? How do you position yourself as someone that has high authority and know what they're talking about so you can get more job offers? And the way you do that is through this. Hope this makes sense. Again, it's pretty simple, guys. This was a simple and short video because I don't want to extend it unnecessarily. I think I gave you a lot of value that you could go ahead and use, and you have no excuse for why you cannot have a 5K a month OTE role over the next 30 days. Hope you crush this up.